Hey y'all, welcome to Extra Stitch. This is my North Knits podcast and cozy space for knitters, creators, and makers. I'm Jewel and I'm so glad that you're here. I've got my coffee with me. I'm back home in downtown Chicago. I just got back from an amazing week in Nashville, Tennessee, where I spent some really fun days with my sweet friend, Hannah Thyssen Howard. She helps me run our Maker Life, and we've launched our next OML event set for October 4th, and we're super excited about it. We visited Camellia Fiber Company and Modern Daily Knitting, which was just like a maker's dream come true. I was in like yarn heaven. We attended a few private business events. We created content, we ate good, and we really just had some really heartfelt conversations. And those are the type of trips that I love the most, when you can really get with your people, get with your community, and it feels true and it feels real and authentic. There's no awkwardness, there's no judgment, there's no projecting, just good vibes, right? You can work hard, have fun, get some good rest, and you're really in alignment and you're really in movement. And as I was creating content with Hannah over the week, we really felt like we were in sync and we were in movement. I really felt like I was in my mode for who I am as a maker and how I show up. Tennessee is so beautiful. The city is just thriving. You can really sense the movement and how supportive it is for small business and for creatives and makers like us. I just absolutely loved it. And while I was there visiting, beautiful fiber yarn shops and working on my projects, I could really feel that fresh open air. And it made me think about things like this, like, what's important to me right now as I create content? What does it really mean to create content that doesn't just convert, but it actually connects? Because conversion is that word we hear in our industry and in our community a lot, right? And it's important because that's action. We always want to remember to do those call to actions, whether we're designing or creating content or being an influencer. That action part is important. You want people to download your pattern. We want them to click on the link in our bio. We want them to subscribe to our newsletter. We want them to buy the yarn in a pre-order. We want them to comment, in the comments, whatever we tell them, so that we can send a DM. We want them to make an investment that feels real and authentic and buying into the things that we have worked so hard on. So conversion is very necessary. But here's what I'm learning. When you are only creating for an output to convert, it starts to feel a little stale, it starts to feel a little forced, it starts to feel a little bit fake, and you can also kind of get lost. Speaking from experience, as a business owner and running North Knits and OML, I've had those moments where I have felt lost as a creator and a maker, where I'm just waking up and I'm posting for the sake of posting, right? So I wake up and I choose what yarn I want to share or what project I want to share, and I spend a little bit of time on a caption and I hit post and I sit back and I wait for my vanity metrics, right? Sometimes we can get caught up in that performance loop and it can be exhausting. Sometimes we can't hear ourselves think, because the only thing that you want and the main thing that you're paying attention to is the conversion. That's how the imposter syndrome creeps in. That's how we get stuck with that creative anxiety. That's where we can't get the little voice out of our head that tells us that we're exhausted, but that we're not good enough. That's what leads to the burnout. I've been there, and it's really not a fun place to be, and it's not a fun place to create content. So yes, again, conversion is necessary. We always want to make sure that that's a part of a strategy, right? But it is really easy to get caught up in the habit of posting out of pressure. You don't want to stay stuck in that performance loop. You don't want to just show up to post for the sake of being visible, or worse, just to compete with other people. When you create from that space, and it's tiring, exhausting. More importantly, that kind of pressure takes away from your why. Every time I've shown up to my spaces and I create where I am doing it just for the sake of posting, I find that I get further and further away from my why. I get further and further away from the reason that I started creating in the first place, why I am creating now. You lose that joy, that purpose, we lose our story. And so While I was in Nashville, it was just one of those places where you could stop and pause, and it wasn't always long, big reflections. Sometimes it was, short in the moment. I could stop and ask myself, okay, is this content something that has no purpose, no storytelling behind it? Am I just getting ready to hit post just for the sake of being visible and to tick a box on my task list? Or is there story behind this? I love Chicago. I'm definitely a big fan of Nashville now. I just love the energy. It's so beautiful there. It's something about it. It has a je ne sais quoi. It has movement. It has fresh open air and serenity. And there's a story there. Nashville is telling a story. And it reminds me that when it comes to business and defining who we are around it, conversion follows connection. And connection comes from our story. That's just plain and simple. It's real. We have to have some type of storytelling around what we do. Not necessarily let me share everything about my life every second of every day. We can have a sense of not having to share everything, but there's definitely a need for storytelling. There is a book called Stories That Stick by Kendra Hall, and it drives this mindset home for me, and I think it will for you too. Again, it's plain and simple, but something that we don't always, I think, really take the time to think about. And it's that our story is the thing that makes people care. What makes us and our content memorable, what makes and invites that trust that increases our chance of success. This book hones in on 4 key points: value, founder, purpose, and customer. These aren't things that we have to use all the time in that order every time, but knowing why we're sharing something helps our audience, our community, our industry understand what we stand for. We give ourselves the best chance for that instead of just being the kind of maker in business that, is on social media and you're on the internet and you're like, let me, shout louder. Let me be the person that's always visible, but, I don't really have anything that feels truly authentic because I don't know my why. That's when things, again, start to feel stale, forced. It's when you start to feel a little fake, friend. Being real is more valuable. We don't have to show up to be like everybody else. We don't have to show up all the time just to compete. And we don't have to create on autopilot just to be seen, or so that we can say that we've got viral views, or that we woke up at 6 a.m. to get 10 comments or shares or X number of pattern sales during the year. Like I said, you can really get caught in a mode of always creating from that place where it's tiring. Those things are important. It's best when it has that aspect of storytelling. And what's really important, and what's something that I'm really learning as a business owner, that my story matters, right? Because when we create from telling other people's stories or from a place of unhealthy competition and comparison, that's when the content starts to feel hollow. Suddenly you're in motion, but you're not in alignment. And that alignment is key. That's where we get our spark joy. It is the most sustainable, feel good, yes, I did it, I'm doing it kind of marketing, because it's not embedded in things that feel forced. It's not embedded in anything that feels stale or anything that feels fake, because your story is your story. It's what makes you you. It's what makes me me. And so that's almost the most genuine when it comes to making a knitwear top, a crochet cardigan, or sharing our yarn. That's like pretty authentic. When we create from that place, when I have created that place, like, it's magical. That's when people start to say, wow, I feel that. And people start to feel connected with you, and they're like, all right, I'm in. I will buy in. And there you go. Conversion. So much easier, and it's like a breath of fresh air. So I took that away while buying yarn and eating great Nashville food, and it was just 10 out of 10. Nashville was a great time. It was a whole vibe. I will definitely be sharing more about it. I'm feeling so energized and so refreshed from it. Everything from the trip to the cozy inspiration to the reminder about meaningful storytelling. It all has me feeling really inspired in what I'm making and the yarns that I'm using. I want to share some current projects that I'm working on, some pretty yarns that I have, what I'm wearing, the good stuff. Hannah actually gifted me with some of her Handspun yarn when I was down in Nashville, and this purple just has me heart-eyeing. I'm absolutely obsessed. This skein is a little bit warmer and this one is a little bit cooler, but I am loving the tones. It has some really beautiful purples and dark greens and some auburn oranges in there, and I just think it would be beautiful to knit up a nice cowl in like Chicago October. I'm very excited that these are now in my stash. I've long been a fan of Camellia Fiber Company. I love the beautiful curated yarns that Sylvia and her team create, and wow, this yarn is no exception. CFC has this on a limited run right now that you can pre-order. It's called Rainbow Sprinkles, and it is just as squishy as you would imagine Rainbow Sprinkles to feel. I grabbed mine on a DK weight, and I actually had a chance to see how it swatched up, and then Sylvia also showed me how it swatched up when you hold the DK with this mohair. Talk about obsessed. I actually just got it on plain white because I already know how the swatch will look, but you can also get the mohair on sprinkles as well. I had so much fun having the chance to visit Modern Daily Knitting and to see their shop and some of their beautiful yarns. I grabbed one of their more recent yarns. It's called Jane, and what a beauty it is. These are 50-gram skeins. You get 1.75 ounces or 125 yards. The recommended needle size is US 4 to 6 needles, and to get 4 inches on your gauge, you want to make about 20 to 24 stitches. And this color is Cameo. This is a DK weight, 75% Falkland wool and then 25% Masham wool. But I am really loving this Cameo color. I also got it in the color Juniper. And this is another project that I think I will add to my autumn list of things to make. I have 3 skeins, so I definitely think that I'll have enough to make a cowl, and I just love the color so much. This yarn is made in England and it feels amazing. I'm told that it blocks out really, really well. It already feels good. It has a really, really nice mix of a rustic, a bit of a toothiness feel, but that softness, and I'm told that that is because of the mixture of the Falkland and the Masham wool. And yeah, super obsessed with this one. Another yarn that I've purchased recently and that I'm really excited to have in my yarn stash is this Double Sunday by Petite Knit. This is in the color Pineapple, and y'all, it makes me feel so happy. I'm so excited to just dream up a project. I'm definitely thinking like a summer top or something like that. It is super pretty. Double Sunday by Sendus Garn is a cozy 100% merino wool. It's applied DK weight, and it has really this plump round stranding to it that really is set to deliver really crisp stitch definition. So I'm really looking forward to that. Another yarn that I have in my stash is from one of my favorite brands. It's been in my stash for a while, but I really think that I'm going to be able to pull it out this year and, as the temps warm up, make a really pretty summer garment with it. It is called Saona, and it's by Wool Dreamers. This is the color for Telly that I have definitely a garment worth of skeins to knit with, and y'all, oh my goodness, I love this yarn so much. One of the things that I love about Wool Dreamers is the price approachability of their yarn and actually how much yarn that you get in a skein. I am really, really loving this. Sauna is a fingering weight. These come in 50-gram balls. You get about 240 yards or 220 meters in a ball at about 1.76 ounces. Sauna is 50% local wool, 50% cotton. It has a really, really great color palette. They really combined the cotton from Andalusia, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and their wool from local flocks and native breeds to really create this authentic yarn. A very soft, lofty 2-ply fingering weight that I really think will make some special garments that I can add to my wardrobe, and I am so excited to knit with it. Shout out to the Wool Dreamers team. They really have some of the most beautiful yarns. I'm actually wearing yarn that I knit with Wool Dreamers. This is their Cautiva yarn, and it inspired me for the name of this garment, which is called the Cautiva Tee. I still have it in grading, so I haven't released it just yet, but I'm so excited to share this pattern. I actually started working on it last summer, and I absolutely love wearing it. It feels so good against the skin. I really, really like the Cautiva yarn just as much as I love the Saona. I knit this garment bottom up in pieces. So you make a front panel and a back panel. So it is seamed, but it's a really great technique to approach whether you are a seasoned knitter or a beginner. I started with knitting some ribbing here, and then you go into this really pretty stripe color work. Then you pick up stitches for this very simple but very nice detail sleeve edging, and then you also pick up stitches for this neckline here. I really love it, and honestly, when you're working with any of the yarns from Wool Dreamers, you cannot go wrong. Another yarn that I also love, and I'm so excited that I have actually come up with a design that I want to make in this yarn. This is knitting for Olive. It's their heavy merino, and I have it here in the color Dusty Banana. Y'all, talk about obsessed. I love this yarn so much. I've been working on it down on my trip to Nashville. I love it so much. I'm actually working on a cardigan, so it'll be very, I would say, beginner friendly. I've already finished the back panel here. As you can see, it just has some really nice simple ribbing that goes into the stockinette, so you can really indulge in knitting and purling. And then I'll be working on my left and right panels, picking up my button band. I have some really, really pretty buttons that I was trying to choose between 3 styles of buttons that I'm going to add to my cardigan. And yeah, I am just summer obsessing over everything with that butter pineapple trend, and Dusty Banana is no exception. I had heard that it really wasn't like a true butter yellow when you actually get it, but in my opinion, I think that it's a perfect butter. It doesn't come across too light where it almost feels like a tan or sort of leaning more into that cream color. It really comes off like Dusty Banana. While I dream up designs and work on my knit projects and explore beautiful fibers, I also want to make sure that I indulge in everything that is amazing about Chicago summer, and sometimes that's just pulling out a good read. So usually I like to indulge in a lot of nonfiction, but I was in the bookstore a couple weeks ago and I decided to pick up a New York Times best-selling fiction book, and it's called Problematic Summer Romance by Allie Hazelwood. People are describing it, including the New York Times, a romance powerhouse, and people are saying that they are totally obsessed. And I'm really feeling that. Problematic Summer Romance right now is a page turner for me. Every chance that I get when I want to take a little bit of a knitting break, I've been reading it. I was reading it on the plane. I read it just a smidge before bedtime when I was in Nashville. And the back of the book says, "What is wrong meets what feels right in this romance set in Italy," by the New York Times bestselling author of Deep End. So far, it's a really good read. I'm just in the early chapters. It's about a 23-year-old girl. Her name is Maya, and she's sort of still in the process of figuring out her life, and she sort of has a thing for a guy that's a bit older than her, and it looks like there may have been some backstories and some of the other preceding novels maybe in this series, because they sort of meet back up again, but he's in a relationship and she really can't stop thinking about him. And so it's just sort of, contemporary romance that you want to read in the summertime in between exploring everything that's amazing about, merino yarns and cotton yarns and creating cute cardigans. So I am super excited to keep reading this, and yeah, I definitely recommend. Whether you walk away from this episode with a really good book recommendation or some amazing, wonderful yarn that I definitely think that you should try, I also want you to keep in mind the importance of that good storytelling, right? Like, really think about what's your why and what's your story and how can you remain true and authentic to that. You don't have to chase trends to build something that is authentic and unique and beautiful to you. You don't have to push content just to stay visible without any meaning or story behind it. You already have a story, and that story is so genuine to you, and it's what builds your connection, and it will ultimately lead full circle for your conversions. Remember, people aren't just here for our projects or our products. They're here for us. They're here for our rhythm, our movement, our warmth, our care, and those good vibes. I'm gonna go back to knitting and squishing all of these beautiful yarns. I'm obsessed with the butter yellow color right now. That's really just what has been taking my eye on my yarn shelf, and I want you to keep knitting, keep crocheting, keep dyeing beautiful fiber, making and keeping those vibes way up. Bye.